Freedom Act, Patriot Act, and the marvelous acting done on both sides about whether Americans need to understand a little spying is good for the soul. Hey, who are we kidding here? More emails, shots from Bernie Sanders, O'Malley muscling up. Dick Morris weighs in to share if anybody's buying the latest Hillary challenges. And all this talk about American heroes and people who show courage. We've got one who took the bullets, and you need to hear his stories. Add to that, telling it like it is, with some hard talk to Baltimore's mayor and the cops. Buckle up. I'm Ed Berliner, and this is The Hard Line for Wednesday, June 3rd.
There are 51 laboratories in 17 states, one in the District of Columbia, and 3 foreign countries that we believe have received suspect samples.
When we're organizing the World Cup, we're not dealing with gangsters, we're dealing with people. The fact that later they attempt gangsters is not our problem, because we did not know that, hey, there are crooks all over the place or whatever that is the case. We're dealing with human beings of integrity. And that is the point. And we're not sniffer dogs to check everybody, he's illegit, check him, and so on. That is not our case.
Social media networks have become an extension of the Islamist terror battlefield overseas, turning homegrown extremists into sleeper operatives and attackers. The proliferation of jihadist propaganda online has established a new front in our battle against Islamist extremists.
The President's campaign to destroy the tools used to prevent another terrorist attack has been aided by those seeking to prosecute officers in the intelligence community, diminish our military capabilities, and despicably to leak and reveal classified information, putting our nation further at risk.
America, your phone calls are safe. At least that's what we're told. The killers are still out there. We are still the targets. And the various intelligence agencies are about to shift into another gear thanks to the Freedom Act. So let's dig into the reality here with the former intelligence officer and advisor to General David Petraeus, now director of the Global Initiative on Civil Society and Conflict, Colonel Derek Harvey. Colonel, good to see you again.
Great to be here, Ed.
Colonel, we start out with FBI counterterrorism chief Mike Steinbach, who goes in front of lawmakers and pleads with them to give us the tools to get the job done, because with the Patriot Act ending, the Freedom Act here, he says, and I quote, with its widespread distribution model and encrypted communications, ISIS is afforded a free zone by which to recruit, radicalize, plot, and plan. Do you agree?
Well, I think that they've got, a great deal of what I call activity on the Islamic State's front, but the changes really don't affect our overseas activity focused on collecting data, information, scraping the web, and going after the encrypted communications. It's a red herring. And I've been rather shocked by some of the statements by people that are making these assertions about the criticality and the detriment to the intelligence effort. I really think most of the changes are very, very minor. They create some speed bumps, but it's not an obstacle that is not hard to overcome.
Why then the panic, and why are people being allowed to get away with what seems to be, in your opinion at least, and others, fear-mongering?
Well, it's posturing, and, scoundrels and others, hide behind some of these allegations. I think some people just aren't well informed, have not been deeply involved in the detailed analytical effort and pulling together the different threads that help us put together the fabric, and then we can see the obscure but very important points that we need to be focusing on. I've got tremendous experience doing this, and I'm telling you that this has been overblown to a great degree up to this point.
Now, let's talk about the Edward Snowden effect on this, because the former U.S. security contractor, he has hailed as historic the efforts to end the bulk collection of the American phone records. He is urging campaigners to go even further. Here's Edward Snowden.
Is the fact that we've lost this one surveillance program, which everyone agreed was illegal and ineffective, is that enough? Is that the change we need? Is that everything that's going to happen? And of course, the answer is no. It's not enough. it's a first step.
So here's the question then. He says we can go further. He believes we can. And there are some people, let's be honest, who still see him as a traitor to America. But in your opinion, could we go further and still have the ability to ferret out the terrorists here in America today and keep Americans safe?
Well, I think we can go a little bit further in some areas, particularly with regard to access to emails and how long companies are mandated to store them, which might, address some issues of concern. But for the most part, there's really been no proven violations of policy or law. The laws have been strictly enforced, and there have been some very minor aberrations by people at NSA that have been mostly personal in nature. So most of this is overblown, and it's political activity, I think, that is trying to frame an issue to get an advantage over one side or the other.
Colonel, you know full well that what you're saying right now will be heard by people in Capitol Hill, and they will say he is absolutely wrong. You know the NSA will listen to this, the FBI will listen to this, they will assail you, and they will say, wait a minute here, Derek Harvey is sounding like a traitor himself here. So how can you sit here and say all this with complete confidence, because you are somewhat out of the realm of those seeking American security at this moment?
Well, I'm very focused on protecting America and going after the enemies that are here, both domestically that become radicalized, as well as those that are overseas. And we've had no detriment, no negative consequences on going after those networks, those key individuals that are active overseas. And we've got the tools, the instruments, the software packages, and the skill and the knowledge to go after it here domestically. There are a couple of minor changes for the most part. Again, this is tremendously overblown, Ed.
Let me then ask about lone wolves and terrorists here. To your point, because in Boston, the FBI found someone they consider to be a lone wolf, radicalized by ISIS. They killed him and also a partner there. So the fact that they were able to find this individual, does that then tell you, does that buttress your argument, come right up against it and say, I'm right, we are finding them. The FBI can do this without all of this metadata gathering?
Well, I think we really can, and I've been traveling the country and talking to the police officials and others about how to apply the tools that they have to improve the training so that they can scrape the web, so that they can monitor and identify potential individuals that could be radicalized. There's a lot that we can do with local, city, and state police forces to improve their capabilities, but there's more training and more instruments and tools that they need. It's got to be more than just the FBI. I'm very confident we can move in a very good way to improve the posture domestically.
Do you believe now that agencies like the NSA and others will now create new backdoors? Because let's face it, we're being told of things that are happening. There's a law here. There's the Freedom Act. Come on. We're not going to be naive here to think that there aren't people out there who bend laws, break laws, and they're still going to do certain things in order to find the intelligence that they need. So any doubt in your mind that there's still going to be new backdoors and the NSA's working on them as we speak?
I think what we really have to worry about is, individuals in NSA working on an issue and then sharing that information with folks in the DEA or the Drug Enforcement Agency or with others domestically, in that cross-fertilization that is not permitted by law without a court FISA determination or a search warrant or something of that like. And this personal relationship that crosses the interagency is potentially troubling to me because they are committed, they believe they are doing the right thing, and they bend the rules at times to make it happen.
We got 20 seconds left. You do hope that no matter what happens here, one American life is not shed, one stitch of American blood's not shed on this soil, because one is too many, is it not?
Well, one is too many, but we also have to be vigilant in defending the liberties of Americans, because the downside of that could be catastrophic for the freedoms and the values and the type of country we really want to be.
Between these different acts and everything that's going on here, we are going to be talking about this for a long time, and we are going to be focused on the security no matter what happens. Colonel Harvey, you brought us a very different perspective on this, and I know people are going to be talking about it. I thank you very much for your time. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, Freedom Act, Patriot Act, all different acts. So now we've all got to ask ourselves, still, How safe do you feel? Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news has the political animal next.